Hello, everyone. Scott Hebner here. Welcome back to the Next Frontiers of AI podcast, where we feature industry pioneers who are shaping the future of AI. Thank you very much for tuning in. In this episode, we'll explore what it takes to build and scale a new agentic AI business as we enter what many are calling the golden age of AI agents. A new market category is clearly emerging. One that's really going to deliver on the growth demand that we're seeing for highly domain-specific digital co-workers who can reason, act, and collaborate with humans to enhance decision-making and accelerate outcomes, and even act autonomously when human involvement is either not feasible or warranted. This market for digital co-workers and agentic workflows is projected to expand 45% compounded through 2030, reaching $47 billion. It's a massive new opportunity. Today, we unpack the blueprint for creating successful new businesses, tapping into the best practices that have helped a young company, HOAi, rapidly scale into a high-growth leader in the market segment they are targeting. According to the experts that spoke at the recent AI Agent Builder Summit, hosted by SiliconANGLE and theCUBE, the playing field has never been more favorable for starting a new business. Innovators can now build 10 times faster, get to product and market fit sooner, deploy products at scale, and fuel go-to-market with significantly fewer resources. Unlike the world of cloud and SaaS that came before this, where startups needed massive resources to enter and lead in a market, the democratization of AI has changed everything. This is the dawn of a new super cycle in business innovation. One where vertical expertise, fast iteration, and the use of AI native infrastructures can turn overlooked niches into billion-dollar categories. To explore all this, I'm thrilled to have Haoyu Zha join us today. He is a Y-Combinator member and the founder of HOAi, a fast-growing startup harnessing digital workers to help transform how homeowner associations operate, create value, and engage their communities. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here, Haoyu. Good.
Thanks for having me.
Let me bring you up on the screen here. There you are. How you doing?
Hi. Good. Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me.
You bet. It's been really interesting. We're just coming off of the AI Agent Builder Summit, and we got into this conversation about what a great time it is to be a startup, right? And there was a lot of discussion about sort of what I just said in the intro here about the ingredients are all there to create new marketplaces. And I'm excited to kind of get into this conversation with you and then talk about your business and what you've created and how you're scaling it as a good blueprint for others to think about how they do the same.
Absolutely.
So before we get started though, let's just for our audience, tell us a little bit about your personal journey to where you are now.
Great. Yeah, so I started this company about 3 years ago. That was 2022. Right before that, I worked at a healthcare startup. I was one of the early employees building AI for consumer healthcare technology, at which time I really started thinking about how AI could transform our lives and change, every piece of our life and experience. I was also on the board of an HOA. So I owned a home in an HOA, went through all the paying, being a homeowner in an HOA. I sat on the board, saw everything, and just thought, well, this industry and this whole HOA management operation are really needing something to make it a better experience for homeowners, for board members, as well as for property managers who are struggling with managing these HOAs. So that's how I got started. I started building a software for my own problem and got accepted by Y-Combinator, found some really good investors, raised a seed round of funding, and kept building the software and really, have been building in a space for the past 3 years. Really found the product market fit in 2024 when we started focusing on the agentic AI space and using agents, AI, building AI agents to solve real life problems for the space.
For our audience that's not familiar with Y-Combinator, can you give us a little bit of a background of what that is?
Yeah, so Y-Combinator is one of the perhaps the most successful incubators in Silicon Valley and arguably in the world. And it has incubated a lot of very well widely known names such as Airbnb, Coinbase, Stripe. So these are all Y-Combinator alumni. And in fact, OpenAI with OpenAI, Sam Altman was the president of Y Combinator, and OpenAI used to be the research or AI research arm of Y Combinator, and then he started really working on it and incubating OpenAI, then left Y Combinator to focus fully on OpenAI. So there was a lot of there were just a lot of successful companies coming out of Y Combinator. So we were fortunate enough to be part of it.
Yeah, I know one other founder and CEO that went through that program, and my understanding is that they put you through your exercises, right? It's not easy to graduate and become a part of that whole organization. So that's true, right? It's you can't just join it. You got to earn your way through it and get people to
Yeah,
believe in what you're doing, which is a big
yeah,
accomplishment. Congratulations on that.
yeah. Thank you. That was great.
So let's just think a little bit about the agentic AI marketplace, the marketplace for AI,
Right.
agents in general, which obviously you're tapping into.
Yep.
From a business opportunity perspective, what what makes it different than the last few years of what you were able to do with generative AI?
Well, I think generative AI is the precursor of agentic AI. I would really classify AIs as, there is the predictive AI, and then there's the generative AI, and then the agentic AI is just a kind of a natural progression from this generative AI. And in fact, the core basis is generative AI. So if we look back, we had predictive AIs like trying to predict weathers, trying to predict fraud. Those were very usually very specific. You had to train models and then train and get a very specific results. Where generative AI deferred itself is it was able to, for the first time, to be one, more general purpose, and two, kind of communicate and generating text or pictures or even videos in a way that did not completely stem from the past experience. It's able to create new things and generate things and generate very sophisticated and extensive results from it. And then layering on top of that, we leverage the ability of generative AI to really think, to reason through the context, generate commands, thinking through text and other modalities, and bring them with the tools and other systems that we have today, whether through APIs or there's something that's really popular lately that's called MCP, these other things, to create real world impact. That's how I think about agentic AI. It's like you have the generative AI doing work and creating real life impact in the real world, and doing more complex stuff. So that's what agentic AI is in my
Yeah, I
perspective.
just to get your take on one of my predictions, one of my AI predictions for the year,
Yeah.
um, which was the generative AI wars are going to end the same way the browser wars did in the early internet age. And what I meant by that is, if you think back to that time frame, the browser was the most important decision you can ever make, right? But what ended up happening over time is it faded into the infrastructure,
Hmm.
and it became a preference at best. And those that, essentially creating a gateway into the world of the internet, the online world, and
Yep.
those that were most successful in creating business value were those that built around and on top of that gateway, being the browser, right? Um, and that's where all the value came from. So you make, the analogy to what's happening today is generative AI. I think it represents a gateway into the world of AI. It's democratizing the ability for people to use it, and like does all the stuff you just mentioned. The value is going to be when you start to build on top of that as a core infrastructure service, right? And I think that's exactly what you're kind of describing here is you're adding value through the notion of agentic workflows and AI agents that are able to make decisions better. They're able to plan and, even act autonomously and sort of collaborate with each other. And I think there's a good analogy there because there's so many people now that are really focused on generative AI and
Right.
which one to go with. And
Yeah.
I think it's time to move up that value stack.
I would agree with that. I think it's exactly to your point. I think the models, I would focus more on the models, whether it's GPTs, Anthropic's models, or even Google's Gemini's, Llama, whatever, you name it. These models are critical part of the whole ecosystem, but they're probably, I would say, they're the foundation layer, or they're the gateway to a much bigger opportunity. I deeply believe that the world is full of new opportunities, and the a lot of value will come from the application layer. That is to use these new technology and these foundational models, and then apply them in real life situations in different industries, verticals, and exact use cases. The reason why I believe that is because I just think there are so many long tail situations and actual real use cases you would not be able to pick up as a general purpose or generic model. It's like there are infinite possibility and infinite types of situations. There's no way a foundation model will be able to exhaust all the human possibilities or interactions. So there are always going to be these industries or business industries, business layers on top of these core intelligence layer. And then where these industries they're closer to end customers, so that's where they can capture a lot of values in their unique workflow, unique ways of doing business, applying these specific domain knowledge. To summarize, I believe that the evolution of this technology is going to be that the foundation model is going to get smarter and smarter. It's going to create so much tailwind for all of these businesses, but they're going to be just a foundation layer, and perhaps to some point get commoditized. There are so many options, and they may not differ too much in capabilities. And it's the business layer, the application layer on top of them, building unique workflows, unique use cases, unique interfaces, and solving for specific problems that are going to capture more value in the next several years.
Yeah, that was the consensus of the 20 or so people that participate in the AI Agent Builder Summit was that is what you need to do is move, Agentic AI provides you a framework with AI agents on it to build on top of that and just leverage your, the generative AI foundation and the LLMs that make the most sense for you, because over time, the value will be what you do. Which kind of brings us to the $1 million question for you, which is what inspired you to start HOAi? And, how did you identify the homeowners association market as the right to target with an AI agent-based solution?
So several things. One, I mentioned I was on the board of an HOA, so that was just a personal problem that I had. It wasn't magic. It was just I happened to be there, so I experienced it firsthand and understood it very well. But on the other hand, I think this industry has something really unique. It's This industry is pretty big. There are about 400,000 HOAs in the United States, mostly run by volunteers, and that includes about 40 million homes. And all the new homes, I want to say 70% of all the new homes coming to the market today are part of an HOA. So it's a pretty huge market, and a lot of people are involved, consumers and property management companies. Many people are involved, but it's highly inefficient, and the experience is really bad. If you go online, or if you have a friend who lives in an HOA, I would be surprised if they are very happy about their experience. In general, I see if I go online and find a HOA management company, I generally find Yelp rating below 3. So it's a industry full of complaints. So it's what that means is it just really needs a better solution. So that was kind of part of the origin why I had a personal pain. The industry is big enough and has a low NPS, you would argue. So these just mean it's ready, ripe for innovations. On the other hand, even though HOA management is related to property management, 90% of the work are actually done in the back office in front of computer screens. The interesting part is these work are what I call desktop-driven tasks, meaning you can do things on a computer, but they rely on judgments, heavy reliance on judgment calls. So what this creates is unique because if it's desktop-driven, meaning a lot of things can be done on a computer, that means it's ready for software. But because its reliance on judgments, it was not ready for traditional softwares. So where you could just code things deterministically, if else, and exhaust all the possibilities. Because there are a lot of natural language communication among homeowners, vendors, boards. There's a lot of unstructured data, rules, bylaws, policies that require that level of micro judgment by humans. It's not hard stuff, but it's something that humans need to read, understand, have that context, make a little decision, where it should go, how should I handle this situation. So these characteristics make it a really good fit for generative AI because generative AI is able to parse through all these information, making decisions, and like a human would do. So combining these two, it's computer heavy, desktop heavy, and then relying on judgment, plus the advent of generative AI, all of these elements coming together make it a really great vertical for agentic AI. So based on all of the reasons, we were working on it, and I think that's why we were able to achieve pretty good early success.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on, the generative AI or the LLMs underneath the generative AI largely are predictive models, right? They work on predictions and correlations and patterns and data and all that. And a prediction is not a judgment. So to make decisions, you need to make judgments, as you said. And that's where I think some of that ecosystem on top of that foundation starts to come in, which I know is a big part of building these agents. And I actually love your tagline that says, don't just chat, experience AI that actually gets work done. And to your point, you need to make judgments to get work done in most cases, right?
Yeah, and I think just in addition to that, when we started using ChatGPT, it was text in, text out. You are getting answers most of the time. But what agentic AI is focused on, and specifically what we're focused on, is creating real life impact beyond just the text space. So it's like our AI would help homeowners actually make changes or apply changes to their ledger, charge their fees, waive late fees if necessary, enter accounts payable invoices, facilitating the payments, dispatching vendors to fix things. So all of those real life actual impacts are happening. I think that's where agentic AI really shines. It's doing tasks, getting work done beyond just giving you an answer, which is very limited because if you think about getting an answer, you still need to go around and do things. So that doesn't, it's more convenient, but it doesn't solve the problem end to end. And agentic AI is meant to really get the work done end to end.
So for this target market that you had a personal experience and need for, and you did your research, obviously, and you saw that there's a ton of these out there and they're not very satisfied in terms of the community the community is not satisfied. So bring to life here a little bit of the value that you're delivering to the homeowner associations and the communities that they serve in terms of like, what is HOAi providing them?
Yeah, I think it's what would speak loudly is you know to see some of our customer testimonial. I have a customer video, and maybe we can play it now.
Prior to HOAi's AP agent, we were processing between 10 and 15,000 invoices a month, each one taking 2 or 3 minutes, some taking research that took much longer. It was a very tedious, labor-intensive process. Now with HOAi, those 10,000 plus invoices are processed accurately within minutes. So I did a cost analysis of before and after, and I'm saving approximately $10,000 a month in labor costs. We're really going to embrace in a major way using AI to do budgets for the 2026 budget cycle. I think I'll save literally 1,000 hours of time. We have 600 plus budgets to do, each one taking about 2 hours. I think we can get them done, the draft budget, in about 15 minutes each. Our 5-star reviews have gone way up. The residents are calling with a question. They get a good answer. We've seen great benefit both from client satisfaction and from an efficiency point of view. AI is going to transform our companies, how we do our work, how we deliver our product. It's going to allow us to work smarter, faster. It's going to optimize our results. It's going to control our costs.
It's amazing. Those
Yeah.
are
So
those
these
are
are
real
real numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
The person who appeared in the video, he's Peter Greaves. He's one of our early customers in the DC area. Our primary customer, we don't sell our AI agents to the HOA communities directly. We usually sell to the property or HOA management companies who manage these communities. So they are able to achieve a lot of these benefits in their back office operations. What Peter described was one of the agents we have that is the AP agent. It's able to recognize invoices, understanding the GL codings, checking historical ones, checking for duplicates, verifying the numbers, doing all of these things that a accounts payable clerk would do. And just using generative AI and doing it in an agentic way. And like he was saying, he was able to save $10,000 a month, and we've just seen a lot of these real results among. It's not one customer. It's from tens of customers we have. So another customer I can think of, repurposed half of their AP team because after deploying our AI agents in their AP department. So it's just real tangible results everywhere.
So you mentioned tens of customers, 10 customers. If I understand correctly, you founded the company in 2023, right? So you're only a couple of years old, right? And that's some really great growth and scale, I think, just from getting started. No.
Yeah, we had so in the year of 2024, by end of 2024, we have 10 customers. Then this is April. Today is April 24th of 2025. So 4 months in, we've 6x'd our customer base in just 4 months of this year. And then together, well, even though we're so that means we have about 60 management companies, and that represents a total of more than 1 million homes that we're helping the management companies manage.
And what was the number again of HOAs in the United States? Did you say it was 4 something?
So there's 40 million homes in the United States that are part of HOAs. Today, we have more than 1 million homes that we're helping these management companies manage it.
That's great. And so what as you think about scaling, so I think what's unique is that you've created a business, right? And sort of like what I said in the beginning that I learned from the summit we did, that the opportunities in these, I don't want to use the word niche, but very vertical, spots that require unique domain knowledge, like an HOA, right? And that's an incredible scale since launching a business. And And I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that it's a whole new market set of capabilities when you get into these agents and agentic workflows. So what are some of the other growth milestones that you're looking at? Obviously, it's the acquisition of customers, their satisfaction. I think having looked through your website and seen a lot of this, you have a lot of really happy customers that have their
Yeah.
minds blown almost, right? So what are
Yeah.
you looking at as
Our
you kind of go forward?
Yeah. So back to your point, I think it's with the agentic AI, we're really opening up a lot of opportunities that were previously not available to software. Um, I think as a whole, software or traditional software accounts 2 to 3% spend of overall business spending. And then a lot of these industries and HOA management being one of them has heavy labor spending. Other related that are similar industries are like accounting. These things can have heavy labor spending, and in the HOA industry, it's like more than 50% of the expense goes to labor. So what agentic AI or AI agents are able to do is tap into that spending, that part of your business expense. So if you think about IT budget, that's maybe single-digit spending of your total
Mhm.
P&L. And your labor could be 50, 60, some higher, some lower. But if you think about that, that's a 10x bigger market opportunity for software. So that just means previously niche industries or industries that will rely heavily on labor, labor and have high labor expense now become opportunities. So we're able to tap into that. That just creates this industry alone now becomes a really lucrative opportunity. So the industries that perhaps previously are not great industry for software company because they were labor intensive, now all of a sudden become the most lucrative opportunities because AI can tap into that labor spending. As a company for us, uh, our goal for the rest of the year is to grow to double, triple, quadruple our customer account. I think the market has the demand, and we see that growth going there. We just need to keep delivering our products to meet that market demand.
Right. And so for you to get started, what's really different, tell me if this is true or not, but my understanding is that what's different from like the SaaS era, software as a
Yeah,
service, is you had to build a lot of the software. You were sort of, the layer was sort of not at the top layer of the user interface, but it was at the next layer, right? Where now you're, like you said, you're building off agentic, the agentic capabilities off of the generative AI foundation, and obviously underneath that is a cloud foundation. So you're able to create a lot more faster than perhaps in the end. And I'm sure you're using AI to actually help you create your
yeah,
software, right? And that's your fast
that's
time to
true.
market. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you start seeing a lot of these smaller teams creating incredible growth within super short amount of time. Obviously, as software companies, we use AI agents and these agentic AI coding tools to help us deliver those things. But on the other end, the approach we chose was we're not rebuilding the entire tech stack. We're building on top of the existing SaaS. So all of these industries have their SaaS solutions today. So we're really just building the people who are using these SaaS software. It's a different layer of this tech stack that allows us not to rewrite the entire playbook of the SaaS industry. We're just kind of standing on top of the shoulders of the giants, and then be able to provide values that they were not able to provide previously, and solve a problem that is deeply needed by our customers.
At the summit, I keep referencing, we had Abdi Guzari, who is the lead generative AI leader at Deloitte, and he made an interesting comment. And I'm teeing back on your comment about the labor, right?
Yeah,
And he said the chief AI officer, they're starting to see that they're obviously not more than technology people, they're business people, but he was making the point that he's seeing more of their big clients treating them as HR people. They're
that's
partnering
exactly
with
right.
HR because really what you're doing and what the opportunity is here, and certainly what you've done with the HOA community is you're really helping provide coworkers that are helping give superpowers to the people that manage the HOA. And to do that, you have to understand how people get work done, or it's just a little bit different than automating tasks and stuff like that, right? I mean, it is a different way of thinking about how you build a new set of offerings for the market. It really has
I
changed the
think
game,
so.
hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And unlike building tools for the typical users to use, I think where we add a lot of value is not only applying the domain specific knowledge and workflows uh, to our solution, but also building the right experience for the decision maker, the business owners, to manage a team, a workforce of AI agents. So we're a HR company, we're a human resource company, and providing these AI agents. And I think a lot of value to our product goes to how we create the right experience so that the decision makers can manage these AI agents like they manage people. How do they do performance review? How do they understand the results? How do they build trust and confidence? How do they continuously improve them? So that's a critical piece I think we're all going to see more and more as this agentic AI era comes to life, because the basic getting things done will quickly become commoditized too. I think the next step is, how do you really facilitate this change of management? How do you bring digital workers to your human workforce and transition certain function roles to this digital workforce, and then facilitate that experience is where we want to focus on a lot of our energy.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head before when you said that, the old software market, let's call it the traditional software market, you're building software that helps people automate the tasks that they're trying to
Right.
complete, where now you're delivering software agents that sort of start to understand how you think, how you reason, how you
Yeah.
make decisions, and becoming a true coworker or partner with, right? And I think that's fascinating. So where do you think this is all heading for you guys? What are you most excited about? If you look a couple of years out from here, where do you think you're heading as a business?
Yeah, I think it's super exciting because our goal is to be able to basically relieve all the grunt labor intensive work for this industry. So we're looking function by function. So it's the accounting department, the AP, AR, the financial productions, it's the customer service, these roles. But our goal is really to look at them function by function and trying to create AI agents and digital workers for this vertical industry, and then provide these workforce or labor to the property or HOA management companies. And the great future we're seeing is all of these work are done by AIs, so that the business have better margin, better results, the homeowners are being served better.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, though, I think the people that are working for these companies today will all get elevated to roles where require more interpersonal skills and just be relationship builders, relationship managers, and all of those work are going to be done by AIs. So that's exciting for us, because our goal really, when we look at the future or a few years down the road, our goal is to really provide that workforce to the entire industry and be able to, in a way, revolutionize this industry.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that we're talking because, I mean, to me, this is an incredible success story. So congratulations to you and the team on everything that you've done there. I mean, it's such a short amount of time to have so much success. I mean, I know a lot of startups, having worked at IBM for all those years, and I've worked with a lot of startup type businesses. It usually takes 5, 6, 7, 8 years to actually build into 60 customers, for example, or whatever and you're growing very rapidly. It's a great, great success story. So before we wrap up here, I want to just, if you don't mind, turn you a little bit into an advisor, give some advice to those in the audience that might be, in this world or just ready to get
Right?
started. And let
Yeah.
me just bring up a chart here. I did some research before we did this, and what I found here is the yellow is the growth in startups, AI startups in the United States only. If you go
Mhm.
worldwide, today it's closer to 70,000 that have been
Right.
created over the last 10 years. So just looking at the United States here, so almost 18,000. And it's still growing at the rate that you see on this chart. However, it's projected that 90% of them are going to fail. And so obviously you got 17,000 startups that are focused on AI now. They continue to grow at this rate. How do the ones that have already started kind of adapt a little bit versus the ones that are just ready to get started now? How do they think a little bit differently? I think you've given a lot of good insights into that already. But just like, I'm curious to your views on that. What would you tell someone who's looking to either start a new business as part of a bigger business or, a startup? They want to, find and just get going with a business opportunity that they see like you did.
Yeah, just from my personal experience, I guess I have two humble thoughts. One is I think vertical industries are really interesting. It's like vertical SaaS. Now we're entering an era of vertical AI agents. So previously, the industries that previously looked small now may not be small. So it's really interesting to look into specific industries because horizontal industries, big markets, you always worry about what OpenAI or Gemini, these bigger model providers, can do. What a new feature they roll out tomorrow might just kill a bunch of startups who were previously doing in those places. But it's always going to be hard for these big players to focus on the specific verticals. There are just a lot of very niche, nuanced demands and requirements in these verticals that the big players or big labs won't be able to spend to focus on. So that's one thing. Vertical industry is interesting. Look at small niches. Don't underestimate their potential. The second piece I feel really interesting is to really focus on the macro trend and rethink what's needed. Every 10 years, in the 2000s, it's internet, PC, and the 2010s, it's cloud and mobile. Now it's really AI. There are new software, new interaction, new problems, and new ways of thinking. So we decided to build this not to follow the traditional software playbook to rebuild everything from ground up or repeating whatever that was already available in the previous generation or already in the market. We want to focus on things that these softwares or existing solutions don't offer or don't solve. So that was our wedge into the market. We don't replace people's current solutions, which usually create a lot of pain. We are offering new values that are previously not available, and rethink about the customer experience and interaction with software and AI in general. So that these two have been what I think attributed a lot to our success.
Yeah, I think that's great advice because I think a lot of these SaaS providers today are going to decompose and evolve to creating agents out of them, and they tend to be more horizontal in terms of the big guys, right? And the opportunity is to really go vertical, domain specific, and like you said, there's probably just an uncountable number of opportunities out there. I mean, who would have thought homeowner associations, right? Would be such a big market here. And I think over time, you start getting these AI agent marketplaces that start to come up, and you can start to integrate these things together, and you can tie things to it really is a reset of the software marketplace going forward. And the business value shifts from automating stuff to helping people make decisions. And it's about giving superpowers to people. It's about labor to even a greater extent. It's really going to be fascinating as we go through time here. All right. Well, look, I think it's time for us to wrap up. I can go forever on this. I think it's been a fascinating conversation. I think it's been a great example of what you can actually do with some focus, some discipline, and just, you're showing a lot of creativity, and a lot of it was based on your real life experience, which makes it even better. And, great progress in just, over just around 2 years or so. So, Haoyu, thank you very much for being here. I think this is a great discussion. Actually, I think it's a very meaningful discussion for most of our audience, and I wish you the best in keep us up to date on progress. I'm sure we'll have more conversations going forward. And for all of you out there, thank you very much for tuning in to this. There's no doubt that Agentic AI is reshaping how startups launch, scale, and deliver value. And as I said up front here, and we heard at the AI Agent Builder Summit, we're entering a new golden age of AI agents. And this opportunity is clearly not theoretical. It's real, it's growing, it's available to those with clarity of vision and the urgency to act. So make sure you do check out the recent AI Agent Builder Summit. You can go to thecube.net or our YouTube channel to get access to that. And I really do appreciate you all for tuning in. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Next Frontiers of AI. Bye for now.